You cannot outrun the life you refuse to confront. I know something about you, even if we've never met. You're trying. You're fighting battles no one sees. You're carrying dreams no one claps for yet. And maybe you're tired of feeling behind. Tired of pretending you're okay when you're not. But listen to me. This next chapter cannot be built on old habits. You are not running out of time. You're running out of excuses. So before 2026 arrives, fix the one thing you can control: yourself. You cannot change your life until you tell yourself the truth. And that truth, it's rarely comfortable. It rarely feels gentle. It rarely arrives with applause. Most of the time, truth feels like standing in a quiet room with everything you've been avoiding. Everything you've been hiding behind. Everything you've been pretending doesn't matter. But it does. It matters more than you think. Because the life you want cannot be built on lies you tell yourself just to survive the day. And I know why we do it. We lie to ourselves because the truth scares us. The truth demands responsibility. The truth asks us to shift, to evolve, to let go, to rise. And rising feels like loss at first. Sometimes the hardest person to be honest with is yourself. You tell the world you're fine because you're afraid if you stop pretending, everything will fall apart. But the truth is, things are already falling apart. Just quietly, slowly, underneath the surface. And you feel it. You feel the heaviness. You feel the exhaustion. You feel the distance between who you are and who you're meant to be. Life keeps whispering, nudging you, urging you to stop running from the very thing that can set you free. But we get so used to our own stories. I'm not ready. I'm not enough. I'll try tomorrow. It's too late for me. Nothing ever changes. These stories become walls around us. They become cages. They become identities we never meant to wear, but somehow never stopped carrying. And yet, truth doesn't disappear. It waits, patiently, silently. It waits for the day you get tired of feeling stuck. It waits for the moment you realize that pretending is more painful than changing. It waits for the breath where you finally say, I am not living like this anymore. That moment, that's the beginning of real transformation. Not when everything is perfect. Not when the timing is right. But when you finally get honest about what you want, what you need, and what you cannot continue tolerating. Telling yourself the truth is an act of courage. It's an act of faith. It's choosing to see what is real even when it shakes you. It's saying, yes, I have been avoiding this. Or, yes, I've been afraid to try. Or, yes, I deserve better than what I'm allowing. And once you say it out loud, even quietly to yourself, something shifts. Your spirit straightens. Your vision clears. You stop asking for permission to evolve. You stop shrinking to make others comfortable. You stop delaying the life that's meant for you. Maybe the truth you need to face is that you're settling. Maybe it's that you're staying in a place that drains you. Maybe it's that you're giving too much of yourself to people who give so little back. Or maybe it's that you're holding on to a version of yourself that no longer exists. Sometimes the truth isn't a harsh judgment. Sometimes it's simply admitting, I've outgrown this chapter. And that awareness alone can save years of your life. Truth is compassionate, but it is also uncompromising. It will not bend itself to fit your excuses. It will not soften itself to match your comfort zone. Truth wants your growth, not your approval. And once you allow it in, even a little, you begin to see everything differently. Your patterns, your fears, your dreams. You realize how much of your life has been built on autopilot and how much power you actually have to rewrite the story. You don't need to announce your truth to the world. You don't need to justify it. You don't need to explain it. This is between you and your soul. This is between you and the life you're trying to build. Every breakthrough begins with an honest conversation in the mirror. A moment where you stop looking at the reflection of who you used to be and start acknowledging the person you're becoming. And here's the most beautiful part. When you finally tell yourself the truth, you stop being afraid of it. Truth loses its power to intimidate and becomes your guide. It becomes your direction. It becomes the foundation on which you build your next chapter. Stronger, braver, cleaner, clearer. Life will not change until you decide to face what you've been running from. But once you face it, once you name it, once you honor it, everything within you begins to rise. And that rise is the beginning of the life you've been craving all along. Discipline is louder than motivation, and it always will be. Motivation is beautiful, yes. It feels good. It feels inspiring. It gives you a spark. But a spark is not a fire. A spark cannot keep you warm. A spark cannot build a destiny. The life you want, the one you secretly pray for, the one you imagine when no one is watching, that life is built by discipline, not bursts of excitement. Motivation visits you, discipline lives with you. Motivation knocks once. Discipline shows up every single morning, whether you invite it or not. And I know you've had moments when you felt unstoppable, when you swore you would change everything starting tomorrow, when your heart was on fire. But then the next morning arrived, and the fire was gone. The bed was warm, the doubts were louder, the excuses were easier, and motivation didn't show up to rescue you. That's because motivation was never meant to carry you. It was only meant to wake you up. Discipline is what keeps you up. Discipline is not glamorous. It's not poetic. It's not celebrated on social media. You don't get applause for choosing the harder road. You don't get a trophy for waking up early, for saying no to distractions, for doing the work when no one is watching. But that quiet, consistent, unnoticed effort, that's what builds extraordinary lives. Every goal you've ever admired, every success story you've ever studied, every person you've ever looked up to, they were carried forward by discipline, not mood. Discipline is what remains when the excitement disappears. Discipline is what stays when doubt whispers. Discipline is what keeps you standing when the world tests you. It's easy to work when you feel inspired. Anyone can do that. But the difference between ordinary and exceptional is found on the days when you do not feel inspired, the days when you feel tired, unmotivated, discouraged, and yet you choose to move anyway. That choice, made again and again, is how confidence is built. It's how character is formed. It's how faith becomes real. You don't pray for strength and then wait for the feeling to arrive. You show up and the strength meets you there. Discipline is an act of self-respect. It's you telling yourself, my future matters, my dreams matter, my potential matters. You become someone you can trust, someone you can depend on. Because if you cannot trust yourself to follow through, the world will never trust you either. Discipline makes you reliable to your own destiny. It quietly rewires your identity. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you tell your brain, I am the kind of person who follows through. And eventually life responds to that identity. Doors open for that identity. Opportunities appear for that identity. Think about a seed. A seed does not grow because the sun shines once. It grows because it receives steady light, steady water, steady nourishment. Not perfect conditions, steady conditions. Your dreams are the same. They don't need perfect days. They need consistent days. They need small, steady promises kept. They need you to show up even when the results are not visible yet, especially then. Growth is invisible for a long time before anyone notices. Discipline is the bridge that carries you through that invisible phase. Without discipline, you quit before the miracle happens. And yes, discipline is uncomfortable. It stretches you. It demands things from you that you don't always want to give. But comfort has never created anything remarkable. Comfort keeps you safe, but safe is not the same as fulfilled. Safe is not the same as alive. Safe is not the same as becoming who you were meant to be. Discipline is uncomfortable, but it is the discomfort that builds your wings. It's the discomfort that prepares you for a future you're not yet ready to hold. Every time discipline asks you to stretch, life is trying to grow you. One day, you will look back and realize that your disciplined moments were your most loving moments. The moments you chose your future self over your present feelings. The moments you said, I deserve better than this version of me. The moments you refuse to be ruled by laziness, fear, or doubt, because feelings are temporary. But the life built from discipline, that is permanent. When 2026 arrives, it will not reward the person who felt the most motivated. It will reward the person who showed up the most consistently. The person who trained when others slept. The person who kept going after every setback. The person who built habits strong enough to carry them through storms. Discipline is louder than motivation. It's steadier. It's deeper. It's more faithful. Let it lead you. Let it become your daily prayer. Let it shape you into the person your dreams are waiting for. There comes a moment in your life when you finally understand that not everyone deserves access to you. Not everyone deserves your softness, your loyalty, your energy, your heart. And one of the hardest lessons you will ever learn is this: you must stop negotiating your worth with people who don't even value themselves. Because a person who cannot see their own light will never be able to honor yours. A person who is drowning in their own insecurities cannot offer you clarity. A person who does not respect themselves will always struggle to respect you. But here's what happens. We care, we hope. We try to fix. We try to save. We try to convince people to treat us better by loving them harder. We shrink ourselves so they won't feel threatened. We compromise our boundaries just to keep the peace. We lower our standards because we're afraid of being alone. And we forget that someone else's inability to love us well is not a reflection of our worth. It's a reflection of their wounds. There are people in this world who will only meet you at the level of their healing, not at the level of your intention. You could offer them honesty, and they'd respond with excuses. You could offer loyalty, and they'd return inconsistency. You could offer your whole heart, and they'd give you fragments of theirs. And you sit there wondering, what am I doing wrong? When the truth is, you're not doing anything wrong. You're simply giving too much to someone who can't even give enough to themselves. You cannot pour into someone who refuses to fix their own cracks. You cannot expect accountability from someone who runs from their own reflection. You cannot build a future with someone whose foundation is built on fear, ego, avoidance, or unhealed trauma. And yet, we feel guilty walking away, as if choosing peace means giving up, as if honoring our value means being selfish. But walking away is an act of courage. It is the moment you finally say, my heart is not a place for chaos. My life is not a playground for inconsistency. My worth is not open for negotiation. Think about how many times you lowered your voice so someone else could feel loud. How many times you held back your dreams so someone else wouldn't feel insecure. How many times you accepted behavior that made your soul uncomfortable because you didn't want to lose the connection. But here is the truth. Every time you choose someone over your peace, you lose a piece of yourself. Every time you try to prove your worth to someone who cannot see it, you betray your own spirit. And every time you stay where you are not valued, you teach the world how to treat you. Your worth is not determined by how someone else handles your heart. Your value is not measured by how much you give without receiving. You do not need to shrink or soften or settle just to be accepted. You were created with intention. You were designed with purpose. And the right people will never ask you to apologize for your light. They will never weaponize your kindness. They will never punish you for being real. They will meet you with the same depth, the same respect, the same sincerity. They will see you fully, clearly, gratefully. But you must see yourself first. You must honor your boundaries like they are sacred. You must protect your energy like it is precious. You must walk away from anyone who treats you like an option while you treat them like a blessing. And walking away doesn't have to be angry. It doesn't have to be loud. Sometimes the most powerful goodbye is the quiet one. The one where you simply stop participating in your own disrespect. And here's the miracle. When you stop negotiating your worth, your life reorganizes itself. Suddenly, peace feels familiar. Suddenly, clarity becomes normal. Suddenly, love feels like safety, not survival. You attract people who match your energy, not drain it. You make decisions that honor your future, not your fear. You give from a place of overflow, not emptiness. Your entire world begins to shift the moment you realize you are no longer willing to settle for half love, half effort, or half respect. The truth is simple. Your worth is not up for debate. You were born valuable. You remain valuable. And anyone who cannot see that is not meant to sit at the table of your future. Stop explaining yourself. Stop shrinking. Stop lowering the bar just to keep someone close. Walk with confidence. Walk with grace. Walk with a heart that knows its own value. Because the day you stop negotiating your worth is the day you step into the life you were always meant to live. Your environment is shaping you in ways you don't even realize. Every conversation you entertain, every room you sit in, every voice you allow near your spirit, all of it is training you, molding you, influencing what you believe is possible. You may think you're strong enough to rise above it. You may believe you can stay the same even while surrounded by negativity, doubt, or small thinking people. But your environment is not passive. It is active. It is powerful. It is quietly rewriting your future without your permission. Look at the people you spend the most time with. Listen to the tone they speak in. Feel the energy they carry. Are they lifting you or draining you? Are they helping you grow or keeping you exactly where you are? Sometimes the biggest threat to your potential is not your fear. It's the environment you keep choosing. You cannot plant yourself in unhealthy soil and expect to bloom. You cannot surround yourself with chaos and expect inner peace. You cannot heal in the same place that hurt you. But so many of us stay. We stay in environments that no longer serve us because they feel familiar. Familiarity is comforting, even when it's killing us slowly. We get used to the noise. We get used to the drama. We get used to small expectations, small dreams, small minds. And without noticing, we shrink ourselves to fit spaces we've already outgrown. We dim our light so we don't make others uncomfortable. We limit our potential because the people around us have limited belief systems. But growth requires a new atmosphere. Transformation requires new air. Destiny requires new surroundings. You cannot step into a higher version of yourself while standing in a place that only knows the old version of you. Some rooms will never honor your evolution because they are too attached to your history. Some people will never celebrate your growth because it highlights their refusal to grow. So they keep you small, not always intentionally, sometimes simply because that is all they know how to do. Your environment is not just physical, it is emotional, mental, and spiritual. It's the content you consume. It's the voices you listen to. It's the habits you repeat. It's the energy you allow into your mind the moment you wake up. If you wake up and immediately surround yourself with negativity, comparison, judgment, or noise, do you expect peace to suddenly appear? Peace is not magic. Peace is created. And the first place it is created is in your environment. Protect your environment the way you would protect something sacred. Because it is sacred. Your mind is sacred. Your dreams are sacred. Your spirit is sacred. And not everyone or everything deserves access to that sacred space. There is a reason successful people obsess over their routine, their habits, their morning, their circle. They understand something simple: environment becomes identity. You begin to mirror what surrounds you. You begin to adopt the energy you allow close. You begin to reflect the mindset you hear every day. If you surround yourself with people who complain, you will eventually complain. If you surround yourself with people who quit easily, you will start to justify quitting. If you surround yourself with people who gossip, you will start to internalize smallness. But if you surround yourself with people who dream loudly, who work quietly, who respect themselves deeply, who move with intention, your life will shift. Not instantly, but inevitably. Sometimes elevation requires separation, not from a place of arrogance, but from a place of alignment. You cannot build a masterpiece in a room full of distractions. You cannot become disciplined in a space that celebrates laziness. You cannot find your purpose in a crowd that only knows how to survive, not create. There will be moments where you must distance yourself, not because you don't care, but because you finally do. You care about your peace. You care about your calling. You care about your future. And caring about your future means protecting the environment that shapes it. So ask yourself, what do I need to release? Who do I need to step back from? What habits do I need to remove from my daily atmosphere? What energy do I need to stop allowing into my mind? And then listen, truly listen to the answers that surface. They may feel uncomfortable, but they will be honest. And honesty is always the first step to transformation. Your environment can either drown you or launch you. It can either shrink you or evolve you. It can either limit your story or expand it. Choose environments that nurture your greatness, not your fears. Surround yourself with people who remind you of your potential, not your past. Build a life where the air around you supports your rise, not your fall. The moment you choose a higher environment, your entire life begins to rise with you. Faith is not a feeling, and we forget that sometimes. We wait for a sign. We wait for certainty. We wait for a moment where everything feels aligned and perfect and safe. But faith doesn't arrive wrapped in comfort. Faith arrives in the dark, when you cannot see the next step, yet something in your soul whispers, move anyway. Faith isn't loud. It's not dramatic. It's not a lightning bolt that suddenly erases all your doubt. Faith is quiet. Faith is steady. Faith is choosing to believe in the unseen before the miracle appears in the visible. There will be seasons in your life where nothing makes sense, where the doors you prayed for stay closed, where the timing feels wrong, where you question yourself, question your journey, question whether you're even meant for the dreams that live inside your heart. Those seasons are not punishments, they are preparation. They are the places where faith is built, strengthened, purified. Anyone can believe when everything is working. Anyone can pray when blessings are visible, but real faith, the kind that transforms you, is born in uncertainty. Faith is choosing trust over fear, not because you're fearless, but because you know fear cannot carry you forward. Fear will always try to convince you to stay small, to stay safe, to stay hidden. Fear thrives in the unknown. Faith thrives there too, but in a completely different way. Fear paralyzes you. Faith breaks you open. Fear whispers, what if it goes wrong? Faith whispers, what if this is the moment everything changes? Fear shows your limits. Faith shows you God's possibilities. And faith isn't something you wait to feel, it's something you decide to hold. On the days when you want to give up, on the days when doubt is screaming, on the days when you question why the journey is so difficult, you choose faith again and again. Not because the path is clear, but because you trust that the path is leading you somewhere meaningful. You trust that there is purpose in the process. You trust that even the detours are guided. Think about every closed door in your life, every disappointment, every heartbreak, every moment you thought you lost something essential. But look at you now. You survived what you thought would destroy you. You grew through what tried to break you. And the reason you're still standing is because something inside you, even in the smallest way, refused to quit. That small, persistent refusal, that was faith. It didn't feel exciting. It didn't feel holy. But it kept you going. Faith doesn't always roar. Sometimes it's the softest, smallest whisper inside you that says, "Try again tomorrow." Faith asks you to step even when your knees are shaking, to trust that you are held even when you feel alone, to believe that your life has a purpose even when your path doesn't. Faith reminds you that timing is divine, not random, that delays are not denials, that unanswered prayers sometimes mean better answers are being prepared for you. Faith teaches you to surrender what you cannot control so you can focus on what you can. Your attitude, your choices, your direction. And the most powerful thing about faith is this: it changes how you carry yourself. When you have faith, you stop begging for validation because you know your worth comes from a higher place. When you have faith, you stop panicking over the future because you trust that what's meant for you will never miss you. When you have faith, you stop comparing your journey because you understand that your path is uniquely crafted for your growth, your lessons, your mission. Faith doesn't eliminate struggle, but it gives struggle meaning. It turns obstacles into teachers. It turns setbacks into setups. It turns you into someone who can walk through storms without losing their center. And one day, maybe sooner than you think, you'll look back and realize the very season that made you question everything was the season that built you into the person capable of receiving everything you once prayed for. So don't wait for the feeling. Don't wait for perfect clarity. Don't wait for the fear to disappear. Choose faith now. Choose it quietly. Choose it humbly. Choose it every morning when you rise. Choose it every night when doubt sits on your chest. Faith is not about knowing. It is about trusting. It is not about seeing. It is about believing. And when you choose faith consistently, life begins to unfold in ways you never imagined. Not because everything gets easier, but because you finally trust that every step is guided, every delay is divine, and every moment is preparing you for something greater than you can currently see. There comes a point in your life where you realize that healing is not optional. Healing is not a luxury. Healing is not something you do when you have extra time or extra strength. Healing is a responsibility. Your responsibility, even when the pain wasn't your fault. And that is one of the hardest truths to accept, because you didn't choose the heartbreak. You didn't choose the betrayal. You didn't choose the trauma, the loss, the disappointment, or the chaos that shaped parts of you. But now you must choose what to do with the pieces. You must choose whether to carry the wound forever or to begin the work of releasing it. And healing isn't gentle. It isn't pretty. It isn't a straight line. It doesn't come with instructions or a guarantee that tomorrow will feel better than today. Healing feels like walking barefoot on broken glass some days. Painful, slow, exhausting. Healing feels like reopening a wound you tried so hard to ignore because ignoring it was easier than facing it. But pain that goes unhealed becomes a prison. It shapes how you love. It shapes how you trust. It shapes how you see the world. And it quietly sabotages the parts of your life that deserve peace. Many of us carry pain that does not belong to us. We carry abandonment from people who never knew how to stay. We carry shame from mistakes we made before we understood ourselves. We carry anger from wounds we never deserved. And we convince ourselves that if we just keep moving, if we stay distracted, if we stay busy enough, eventually the pain will disappear on its own. But pain does not disappear. Pain transforms when you confront it. Pain softens when you sit with it. Pain releases when you decide it no longer gets to control your story. Healing starts with honesty. Honest about what hurt you. Honest about what you've buried. Honest about the way certain memories still sit heavy in your chest. And honesty is scary because it forces you to look at who you became as a result of the pain. Maybe you became distant. Maybe you became defensive. Maybe you stopped believing in love. Maybe you stopped trusting people. Maybe you stopped trusting yourself. The version of you that was born from pain did its best to protect you. But protection is not the same as freedom. At some point, you must thank that version of yourself and let it go. It's easy to blame the one who hurt you. It's easy to blame life, timing, circumstances, fate. And your feelings are valid, deeply valid. But staying wounded is a choice you no longer get to make if you want to grow. Healing is how you take your power back. Healing is how you stop giving your past permission to dictate your future. Healing is how you reclaim the parts of yourself you had to abandon to survive. The moment you choose to heal, you begin to rewrite the narrative. You stop living as a victim of what happened and start living as a creator of what comes next. Healing will ask you to forgive, not to absolve someone else, but to release yourself from the weight they left behind. Healing will ask you to set boundaries, not to push people away, but to protect the sanctuary of your spirit. Healing will ask you to rest, to feel, to cry, to breathe, to allow old emotions to rise so they can finally leave your body. Healing will ask you to stop rushing your growth and honor your process, because your pain did not happen overnight, and your healing will not either. But here's the miracles. You don't have to heal perfectly. You don't have to heal quickly. You just have to heal intentionally, little by little, day by day, breath by breath. And slowly, you start seeing the shifts. You laugh again, not the polite kind, the real kind. You trust again, cautiously at first, then with more softness. You love again, with boundaries, with wisdom, with depth. You wake up one morning and notice you're no longer carrying the same heaviness. You look in the mirror and see someone who didn't quit on themselves. Healing is not about becoming the person you were before the pain. Healing is about becoming the person you were meant to be because of the pain. Stronger, softer, wiser, more grounded, more compassionate, more intentional. You rise not in spite of what happened, but through it, transformed, purified, renewed. So, no, the pain wasn't your fault, but the healing, that's your sacred responsibility. And when you choose to heal, you give yourself the greatest gift you will ever receive: freedom. Freedom from the past, freedom from fear, freedom to finally live with an open heart again. The future you dream of, the stronger, wiser, more disciplined version of you, is not waiting somewhere far away. It is being built right now in the quiet choices you make when no one is watching. Your future identity is not created by luck or timing or sudden miracles. It is shaped brick by brick by the decisions you make today. And that is both empowering and intimidating, because it means your life is not happening to you. It is responding to you. Every morning you wake up, you are rehearsing a version of yourself. Every habit you repeat becomes a rehearsal for your future. Every choice you make strengthens or weakens the identity you're becoming. You don't become disciplined overnight. You become disciplined by choosing the disciplined version of yourself moment after moment. You don't become confident randomly. You become confident by showing up even when doubt whispers. You don't become successful magically. You become successful through small, consistent actions that feel insignificant in the moment but monumental in hindsight. We tend to think our life changes through big moments, a breakthrough, a miracle, a huge opportunity. But life doesn't change in the big. Life changes in the small decisions you make when no one is clapping. When you choose to start instead of waiting for the perfect moment. When you choose to stay committed instead of chasing excitement. When you choose to be honest instead of comfortable. When you choose growth over ego. When you choose faith over fear. These choices form the architecture of your future self. And here's the truth: the future version of you is already calling you forward. You can feel it. That little pull in your chest when you know you're capable of more. That quiet voice that says, there's something greater for you. That restlessness you feel when you stay in places that no longer match your potential. That is your future identity trying to get your attention. And the more you ignore it, the heavier life feels. But the moment you start listening, truly listening, you begin to align your present with your destiny. Think about who you want to be in 2026. Really picture it. The strength, the clarity, the peace, the discipline, the confidence, the purpose. That version of you exists not as a fantasy but as a blueprint. And right now, your actions are either building toward that blueprint or drifting away from it. The future doesn't arrive all at once. It arrives quietly through your daily decisions. Your future self is built every time you choose a higher standard, built every time you break a cycle your past self lived in, built every time you say no to an old pattern and yes to a new direction, built every time you choose to walk away from what drains you and walk toward what strengthens you. Built every time you decide that your life deserves your full effort, not your leftover energy. The most powerful transformations happen when you stop acting from your history and start acting from your vision. Your history is loud. It reminds you of every failure, every insecurity, every fear, every moment you weren't enough. But your vision is stronger. Your vision whispers possibility. Your vision whispers purpose. Your vision whispers calling. Your vision invites you into a version of yourself that your past cannot recognize. And that's a good sign. Growth should be unfamiliar. Transformation should make you unrecognizable even to yourself. But none of it happens by accident. You must choose it. You must wake up every day and ask yourself, are my actions matching the future I want? And if the answer is no, you change something. Not tomorrow, not next week, but today. Because small misalignments today become massive regrets later. And small alignments today become extraordinary futures later. You don't need to become the future you instantly. You just need to show up as them for 5 minutes today, then 10 minutes tomorrow, then an hour next week. And slowly, without noticing, you become the person you once only imagined. That is the miracle of consistency. That is the power of identity. You rise in the direction of your choices. So remember this, your future is not waiting on your motivation. It is waiting on your decisions, the small ones, the quiet ones, the ones no one applauds but you. Start choosing like the person you want to become. Start walking like the person you want to become. Start speaking loving thinking. And living like the person you want to become. Because the moment your choices align with your vision, your identity follows. And your life transforms. In the end, everything you're searching for begins within you, not in the world's approval, not in perfect timing, not in someone else's validation. Your strength, your purpose, your calling, they were placed in you long before fear ever learned your name. And when you finally trust that, when you finally choose faith over doubt, action over hesitation, growth over comfort, life starts moving with you, not against you. So step into the next chapter with a steady heart. Walk with the quiet confidence of someone who knows they are guided. You don't need permission. You don't need perfection. You just need the courage to begin. Because when you honor the light inside you, even in the smallest way, heaven meets you halfway. Go forward. Rise boldly. Act with intention. And remember, you are never walking alone. Your future is already waiting. Now walk toward it with faith.